Welcome to the Wounded Coast. We're going to be here a lot in this game. We're going to be coming here quite often.
You know, Ravani, you promised me you'd tell me how you're shipwrecked.
I was drunk. I thought the reefs around the Wounded Coast were made of candy.
Oh, come on.
And a demon told me to do it. It bet me 60 sovereigns and a bottle of port. You're not the only one here who can bullshit, you know?
What?
One of my favorites, hopefully will be the next one we hear, is going to have to do with Varric's chest hair. It's really, really funny.
Aim for the throat!
I like how Varric is keeping count, as if he was, you know, Gimli. That still only counts as one.
Messages for the wardens. Would be paid to have them returned.
Get back!
So yeah, obviously bandits are a great place to like get XP and get money. Even though this place can get quite tiresome on repeat trips, I'm like, oh gosh, I have to go back to the Wounded Coast again. But that's why I'm really glad I got this mod where I can run faster. It just makes getting through this so much less unbearable. And I'm trying to word it that way because that's exactly how it feels. At times it's just like, oh my gosh, come on, I don't want to go here again.
You should never have fought me!
Frostmourne is gonna feast quite a bit while we're here on the Wounded Coast. Talvashov! One of the things I find a little annoying about doing repeat trips to this place, or even just kind of these non-mandatory trips here, where I'm going to an area I'm not required to go to at the moment, even though I will later for other quests, but it's almost kind of mandatory because there are things here to get that are going to pay off later, so you can't really ignore it or skip it. Not if you want to take full advantage of everything that this game has to offer, such as crafting, for example. this? More designs. Crafting resources. Just other little things like that. It's kind of scattered throughout. I mean, yeah, you're getting money and you're getting other stuff that you can sell for more money, or even other gear pieces and stuff here and there, but look at how much ground I have to cover here. Now think about repeat trips here because of other quests, or even later on in the game.
You endanger yourself, human. Do not say you are unwarned.
Here we go again.
No further, human. Tal Vishoth control these passages.
If you're looking for trouble, you found it.
I seek no trouble. I meant to warn you. But you are no caravan. You are tracking. The path ahead is littered with my kind. If you are as skilled as you look, it would please me if you killed them.
Is this Kunari courage?
I am not Kunare.
Well, you're no dwarf.
Kunare are of the Qun. I am Tal Vishoth. So are the others, but they murder and steal, and I won't. So I warned you. Now I will leave.
If they have offended you so much, help me go after them.
But I am worse. They don't want to raise their swords for coin, so they murder and steal. They cling to the honor they held under the Qun. My sword means nothing. I will sell it and myself as mercenary. Kunare would say I am worse.
Sounds like you want a chance to show otherwise.
These are facts I cannot deny.
Seems to me the last man standing gets final say on who is right or wrong.
There is an appeal to that. The leader of these Tal Vishoth, he is worth killing. I will help you. The path to the camp is obvious, human. I will meet you there.
Oh, this is going to be great.
The Qun is such a fascinating thing to discuss. As well as the Kunari themselves. When I heard that we were going to be able to actually play as, well, to clarify, when they say you can play a Kunari in Inquisition, what they actually mean is one of these that we're fighting, a Tal Vishoth. We may be playing as the race that they are, which is the ones with the horns and such, but as he made it clear as a distinction, Kunari are of the Qun, whereas those who are not of the Qun are Tal Vishoth. And that is what our quote-unquote Kunari is in Inquisition, a Tal Vishoth, someone who was never part of the Qun, because as we find out, our Kunari player character in Inquisition was raised by human parents, and thus was raised as just a human. Someone not part of the Qun, someone who was not part of Par Valen. Which leads to some very interesting dialect between yourself and Iron Bull if you are playing as a Kunari. It's something that I wanted to show off when I was first planning who we were going to play once we got to Inquisition. My initial plan was to play as a Kunari, to show that off, a Kunari mage. And considering what we learned about the Serra boss, yeah, it makes that whole topic very interesting. But then I was going over the possible romances I could show in that run, and I found out that Cullen won't, let's just say, like, I started to become less fond of the Iron Bull romance. It wasn't really something that I thought was all that great or interesting. In comparison to the Cullen romance, which I actually grew to like more than the Iron Bull one. But he will only romance either a human or an elf. So I decided, okay, it looks like we're going to instead go with a human mage. We're going to still play a mage, but I guess it'll be a human instead. And it's not that I think that the Iron Bull romance is bad, per se, in Inquisition. I just like the Cullen romance more. I think it's actually very sweet and cute and adorable. Plus, it also helps with the direction that they went with Cullen's character in Inquisition that I really liked, compared to how he was back in Origins and Dragon Age 2. By the way, get used to this cave, because, hey, you've already seen it, right? When we were going up the Sunder Mount to the grave site where we were going to do the ritual for Flemeth. This looks like the exact same one, right? Yeah. You guys know. You know about the reused places. It's going to be a very common thing as we go through this game, because, well, you know, 1 year. This is another reason I like to play Rogue in this game, is because sometimes Isabella and Varric, both here, won't actually be like, hey, there's a trap, and won't give me an opportunity to actually disarm it. I'll just end up tripping it before they even sense it. I'm like, come on, guys. And I'm pretty sure that if my Hawk was a Rogue, she would have been able to notice that right away. But nope. Raw lyrium. Again, it's like that should have been something I probably could have detected, but nope. Unless that's just one of those where it's like, no, it's going to happen regardless. In which case, kind of annoying. Just saying.
Mercenary. You will allow us. This goes on too long. How many of you got, Hawk?
Well, that was fun. The dwarf will be at the compound if you're set on it.
Notice how Isabella says that, because of course she's trying to not exactly encourage that. Since of course she's trying to do what she can to avoid contact with the Qunari. Bunch of extra stuff and junk. Stuff that I can just go ahead and sell. Okay. Now let's go ahead and check out this bone pit.
Cubit's miners must be a desperate lot to work here.
By the way, I still have Bethany with us because obviously I'm trying to get as much screen time with Bethany here as we can before we lose her. I'm also still conflicted what exactly I want to do with Bethany. I keep going back and forth whether or not I want her to be a warden or to be a part of the circle. So when we did our original run, obviously I had Carver, and I had Carver join the Wardens. So you got to see what it's like when your sibling joins the Wardens. It's a little different depending on which sibling you have, with different a little bit of different dialogue and such. Like, for example, what Bethany says if you have her join the Wardens, what she says to you when she comes back is going to be different based on what decision you chose. So, like, if I side with the mages, she'll say something different compared to if I end up siding with the Templars. Like, she'll be a little upset.
Maybe they know something we don't.
If she comes back and finds out that I sided with the Templars. But she'll still be willing to help me. Obviously, you guys probably know, it's a little different if she's a part of the circle. But I also didn't get to show you what it's like with Carver, because if I didn't say so before, when you leave him behind, he willingly goes and joins the Templars. And so he'll be there during the big final conflict in Act 3. There's another Enigma of Kirkwall. And there's going to be a point where he will then have to choose between being a Templar and being your brother. To the point where he'll have to actually... even though at that point he's well known amongst the Templars, and even Meredith will refer to him as Sir Carver. But when it comes down to her taking you down, he'll then be forced to choose. And, yeah. It's a little different when if you're saying being... How do I say this? If Bethany's a part of the circle, and then you choose to either side with the mages or Templars.
Babies, I think. They must be what attacked them. That's enough!
Now, in terms of how different is it when your sibling joins the Wardens, depending on whether or not it's Bethany or Carver, the more I think about it, it's really not that different, honestly. It really doesn't feel that way. It does add a little bit of different dynamic when you take your sibling with you on the Legacy DLC, because of course it involves the Grey Wardens, and if your sibling is a Warden, it's a tiny bit different, only in terms of how your sibling interacts with them. But not really that much, honestly. And I think a lot of people have probably seen the Grey Warden path for your sibling more so than if you have them either be a part of the Templars or the Circle. So the more I think about it, the more I think I'll actually have her join the Circle and show you what it's like when that happens.
That was beautiful.
Hawk, come on. Here we go. Oh, that's why.
That side seems to be...
It also allows me to show you what happens if you bring different people with you on the Deep Roads expedition, because obviously if you're going to go the Grey Warden route, it's always the same composition. Varric, your sibling, and Anders, because Anders is the only way to save your sibling. But if you leave your sibling behind and they join either the Circle of Templars, it allows you to actually try out what happens if you bring other people with you. Like, what happens if you bring Meryl with you? What happens if you bring Fenris? And so on and so forth.
Let's finish this! One left!
Messing with us is suicidal.
I mean, Varric isn't wrong.
Price and Trusty, you came along. Them dragons would have sniffed me out for certain.
Answers first. What happened here?
I'll tell you what I can, but be a friend and keep your voice down. There's another dragon close by.
Did anyone else manage to escape?
Some of my fellows ran for the surface. I hope they made it.
Where did the dragons come from?
We was mining a new tunnel when the wall collapsed, and dragons came through. It was a bloody slaughter. Scared out of my wits, I ran like my arse was on fire. It probably was, only I went the wrong way. Ended up trapped here.
Get a move on. Get out!
Don't have to tell me twice. You should leave too. But don't go that way. There's this huge dragon.
Sage advice from a miner. Still, I think we should finish off that last dragon.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Isabella. But of course, first we have to check for loot. Hello. Okay. Go back here and see if we can get this other ingredient for the herbalist. Give me an opportunity to see if I can show you off some more of the banter.
The Dalish won't help find the ingredients. There's only you.
Up and a run.
I'm gonna have to go back up the mountain, aren't I? See, this is another thing. You notice it's not marked on my map, which means it's probably in the other area. So now I have to run through and try to actually see if I can find what it is that has the ingredient, or drops it, or whatever. Trying to see if I can find this thing. Now watch me go to the top and it's not going to be anywhere because again, it's still not marked on my map, which has me concerned. Like, why is it not showing on my map? If I run all the way up here and I'm not able to find it, I'm going to be very irritated. That's literally marked as a quest in this area, and then I can't actually find it. You know what I mean? And I'm holding down tab to try and see anything that's highlighted so I can actually try and immediately grab it. And I am not seeing a thing. Hello?
That's the brightest thing you could have done.
Well, that's not exactly what I was hoping to encounter, but I don't know, maybe encountering that triggered something else as we run back down? I don't know. I hope so, but we'll see. If not, I'm going to have to probably go to the wiki page and figure out what's going on. it's possible it could also be a bug. If that ends up being the case, who knows? I may have to actually try and figure it out, or use the console to solve it. Who knows? But this is another irritation about this when you're going through these areas, is that there's no quick way back to the main area. I literally now have to run all the way back down to the camp area if I want to leave. It is quite annoying and irritating. The other thing I'm concerned about is that maybe it's not showing up here on the map because it requires another quest that's like, hey, go here, and I have to go back to Sundermount in order to go to another area that's not accessible at the moment, but will be later. Like, for example, this area right here. I think in Act 2 or 3 we can actually go in there, but we can't at the moment.
Ravani, stop looking at my chest. My eyes are up here.
But the chest hair...
Do you know how much I suffer under your gaze? I am a person, not an object.
Varric?
Just shitting you.
That's the banter I was talking about right there. That was so great. I love that. And they're gonna keep, joking about it later on, where you'll actually tease her about letting her, put her fingers through his chest hair, and she's like, "Oh, stop teasing me!" It gets really, really funny. Let's take a moment to go visit Sebastian and let him know, hey, we took care of those guys who murdered your family.
Your family has been avenged.
Excuse me, who are... My post to the Chanter's Board? Did Her Grace let that stay? I thought for sure no one even read, but you say you've killed them. You have my eternal gratitude, Sirrah. It is comforting to think my parents might now rest easily in their graves.
Who are you exactly?
I am Sebastian Vale, Prince of Starkhaven. Her Grace might prefer I introduce myself as a brother in the Chantry, but I could not stay after what happened to my family.
Why didn't your family's enemies hunt you down as well?
That's why I took the offensive. Thanks to you, those Flint Company assassins are no longer a danger. I'm the last of my line. Unless I survive, my family will have no justice.
Who sent these mercenaries?
My family has ruled Starkhaven for 6 generations. We have enemies, but none who would identify themselves openly. A distant cousin of mine is claiming rulership now, but he is a bit simple. He can be no more than a pawn in this plot.
Surely you have a guess as to who was behind it.
My parents were always prudent in how they handled our nobles. They did not allow rivalries or resentments to flourish. The attack must have come from outside. Kirkwall is our largest trading partner. I came back here to find support for my claim, and perhaps for a clue as to who is behind this foul deed.
And we won't get any follow-up to this for another 3 years. Yeah, that time skip thing comes back, and it's just kind of annoying. It's like, really? Nothing happens on this for 3 whole years? Ugh.
Your letter spoke of a reward.
Consider this in advance. When I have secured my lands again, you will be paid royally. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must meet with the Viscount and petition him for aid to a fellow city.
So I mentioned earlier how the friendship rivalry thing, kind of how that works. Sebastian's another example. If you go friendship, you basically encourage him to keep staying here with the Chantry. If you go rivalry, you're basically encouraging him to go back to being a good ruler for Starkhaven and actually take up rulership of Starkhaven as opposed to giving it up, because that's essentially what he would have been doing, giving up his claim and rights and such to be a follower of the Chantry under Elthina. And I'm curious. Let's go see what Elthina has to say about us killing those who killed his family.
You are from over the sea, are you not? Have you come to pray for those you left behind? It was a near thing what happened in Ferelden. But in the end, the Maker stepped in.
I hear a lot about the Knight Commander here. What can you tell me?
Gossip is a sin, child. Knight Commander Meredith has an admirable devotion to her duties. It is not my role to form opinions on her character.
Why are Circle Mages here kept in a Tevinter prison?
Ah, so soon you take an interest in our problems. The short answer is it was a building. A large one. Should it have sat empty? The Chantry found a use for what was once a horror.
Once a horror? Yes, I'm sure it's filled with flowers and sunshine and happiness now.
It is the nature of men to move on and forget the past. Even your blight will be a distant memory in our lifetimes.
Can I get your benediction?
May the Maker bless and keep you. May his smile grace all the days of your life, and his light guide you to his side.
So let it be.
So let it be.
Alright. Number of things to go turn in. So yeah, we're kind of done with Sebastian's side quest for now until Act 2, where we're finally going to get some follow-up to that. But yeah, we can't even get him as a companion here in Act 1. All we can do is that quest, and then, oh, thanks for helping me with that. I'll see you in 3 years. Yeah, that's basically it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and go around and do some turn-ins here. And then probably do some follow-up on any of these main plot quests here, because we still have some stuff to do here before we go on our big expedition here. Stay tuned!